Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Idahoan Show. Today, I want to show you how to install a stabilizing harness on an AR-15 pistol. And by the way, I'm setting this up for right-handed use, so if you shoot left-handed, the process is basically the same, but you may want to mirror things on the other side of the gun. Anyway, first you'll need to install a sling attachment point on the front handguard if your pistol doesn't already have one. On this particular gun, this hole in the handguard is designed to accept a standard QD sling swivel, so there's nothing more I need to do about it. But if your gun doesn't have one, there's a lot of different options available for QD mounting points, whether you want one that screws onto the guard or attaches to a pick rail or an M-lock slot or whatever you prefer. Second, you'll also need to install another sling attachment point towards the back end of the buffer tube. If your pistol has a brace on it, or if you're doing this with a rifle that has a stock, there's a possibility that it may already have a mounting point back here. But most of those that do are going to be too far below the buffer tube to really work well with the harness. So if I'm setting up a pistol with a harness, I prefer to use one with just a plain buffer tube and install a QD mounting point towards the back of the tube. There's a couple of different options for buffer tube mounting points. This one from Midwest Industries is really designed to fit over the spanner nut up at the front of the buffer tube, but it seems to work okay further back too. This GrovTech model is probably my favorite of the options that I've found so far, but it seems like it was designed to fit a buffer tube that's about 40 thousandths of an inch smaller in diameter than the one that I'm using. And by the way, this buffer tube is 1.175 inches in diameter, which seems like the most common size, at least from what I've seen. Anyway, I had to do a little bit of grinding on this bracket with a Dremel tool in order to get it to fit properly over the tube, but now it seems to work pretty well. At some point, I may try to design my own buffer tube sling mounting bracket that's fully optimized for this application, but for now, just pick one of these or other available options. Finally, you'll need to install a third sling mounting point at the bottom of the pistol grip. Typically, this mounting bracket will come as part of a kit with the harness itself because nobody else really makes a bracket like this, at least as far as I'm aware of. To install this bracket, you'll just remove the screw that holds on your grip, then insert the QD adapter into the hollow grip and use the provided screw to reattach it. Note that the grip on an AR-15 holds the spring and plunger for the rear captive takedown pin, so as you're doing this, be careful not to let the spring or plunger fall out. Also note that this QD adapter is designed to fit comfortably inside a standard mil-spec plastic grip. But there are a variety of custom molded grips on the market, and I'm not sure if they all have the same internal dimensions. So it's possible that this may not work with all the different custom grips that are out there. Once you've got your 3 mounting points installed, you can connect the harness. If you spread the harness out flat on a table, the straps should form something that looks like a T. You'll want to take the upper left corner of the T, that is, the start of the crossbar, and connect it to the buffer tube. Then connect the other end of the crossbar to the base of the grip and connect the bottom of the T to the front handguard. Now all that's left is to adjust the length of the straps to fit. Put on the harness with your right arm through the loop formed by the crossbar of the T between the buffer tube and the grip, and put the other loop over your head. With the gun pointed in a safe direction, of course, assume a firing stance and push the pistol forward with your right hand. Ideally, it should render in a position with the end of the buffer tube just a few inches in front of your shoulder, with the loop over your shoulder taut, and you should be able to get a comfortable cheek weld on the buffer tube to see through your sights. If you find that the gun is too far back or too far forward, use the sliders to lengthen or shorten the straps. In this case, you'll notice that the gun was initially way out in front of me, so I had to shorten up the strap considerably. The primary purpose of the third leg is just to keep the loop from slipping off your shoulder or down your arm, so in a firing stance, the strap that connects to the forward handguard ideally should have neither slack nor tension in it. So if it's pulling tight, you may want to lengthen it. If it's sagging, you may want to shorten it. Once you've got the straps adjusted, if you find you have excess length of loose strap hanging off the end, you can either cut off the excess and melt the end of the nylon strap with a lighter to keep it from fraying, or just fold it up and wrap it with tape or put a rubber band or something around it to keep the folds in place. At this point, the harness should be all set up and ready to use. I expect I'll post a separate video about techniques for using it, but until then, thanks for watching the Idahoan Show.